respected Pro-Chancellor of AMET University, Dr. Thiruvasagar, Vice Chancellor, Dr. Rajendran, Dean, Dr. Deepa Rajendran, members of the faculty, and my dear friends. Let me first thank you all for the opportunity and honor given to me to deliver the valedictory address today. Student induction program is a very good idea because it allows students from different parts of the country time to settle down and acclimatize yourself to your new surroundings. I remember when I joined engineering 50 years ago in 1974, on the very first day, first class, some chap was teaching me thermodynamics. And second class was engineering drawing. I never got over the shock for nearly 1 month. So you people are lucky, you are allowed to settle down, and I'm sure you'll be able to attend your academics in all seriousness very soon. I am visiting AMET University after a gap of nearly 10 years. I am happy to note that during this period, the institute has gone from good to great and is regarded as one of the finest maritime institutes in the country. Have you ever wondered as to what makes an institute great? Or for that matter, what makes a company or an army or a state or a country great? Historians often ask the question, how did Robert Clive, with just 3,000 soldiers, manage to defeat Nawab Siraj-ud-Dawla of Bengal, who had 50,000 soldiers in the Battle of Plassey in 1757? Economists often ask the question, why are Germany, Japan, and South Korea very rich and highly developed, even though they are much smaller in area and endowed with far fewer natural resources than India, Brazil, or Nigeria? You must remember that Germany and Japan were devastated at the end of the Second World War, and Korea was also equally devastated at the end of the Korean War. The answer to these questions lies in the quality of human resources and in how well they are organized. An institute does not become great merely because it has a vast campus, or big buildings, or the latest equipment, or a good collection of library books. These are necessary but not sufficient conditions. An institute becomes great because of the quality of its human resources, the top management, the teaching and non-teaching staff, and students, and because of how well these resources are organized, management policies, level of discipline and dedication, work ethic, team spirit, and so on. AMET University has been fortunate in having a visionary management headed by Dr. Ramachandran, who has spared no effort to make it an institution of excellence. A succession of competent vice chancellors, highly disciplined and dedicated faculty, and students who are among the best and brightest in the country. I take this opportunity to congratulate AMET University for what it has accomplished so far, and I hope it will go on to achieve even greater laurels in the years to come. Dear students, you are soon going to be members of one of the most ancient, most globalized, and most important professions in the world. I suppose you are aware that ocean shipping is the backbone of global economy and global trade. Every year, about 11 billion tons of goods are transported by ships. That works out to approximately 1.5 tons of goods per each person on this planet. Shipping handles nearly 95% of India's trade by volume and 70% by value. Shipping offers the facility to transport goods very cheaply, in very large volumes, over very long distances, with a minimal environmental impact. For example, it costs only about 5 cents to transport an iPad by ship from Shanghai in China to Hamburg in Germany. For every ton kilometer of goods moved, Shipping generates only 2.1% of greenhouse gases compared to air freight and only 1% of greenhouse gases compared to road freight. Many people think that computers and internet are largely responsible for globalization. But a more important factor is cheap shipping. It has enabled many companies to relocate their factories from Europe and North America to East Asia and South Asia. But for cheap shipping, our supermarkets and departmental stores would not be stocked with products from all over the world. As the world gets more globalized and world trade increases, the demand for shipping and skilled seafarers will continuously go up. There are already 23 countries in the world which do not have a standing army or navy. As humanity becomes more civilized, we can perhaps think of a distant future where many more countries will dispense with standing armies and navies. But there will never come a time when the global need for merchant shipping will be reduced. In other words, the world can well do without navies, but they cannot do without merchant navies. Dear students, as part of my valedictory address, I would like to give you 3 takeaway lessons for your career success. 1, you should be a continuous learner. 2, you should develop the right attitude. 3, you should cultivate the capacity for original thinking. Let me elaborate. There is a story about the famous British astronomer, Sir Arthur Eddington, who was asked by a college girl in a party as to what he was doing. I study physics, Eddington replied. To which the girl said, oh my, you are still studying physics? I finished studying physics last year. Many of us make the same mistake as this college girl. We think we have finished our studies once we leave our college or university. Whereas the truth is that learning is a lifelong process. Education is not a road, but a destination. It's not a destination, but a road we travel by all our lives. The most important thing that a university should teach its student is how to learn. There is another story, probably apocryphal, that Albert Einstein once set a question paper in physics to his students, in which every question was repeated from the previous year's question paper. When the students asked him why, Einstein replied that the questions may be the same, but the answers are different this year. What Einstein meant, of course, was that physics was not static, but had advanced a great deal during the past 1 year. Today we are facing an exponential increase in knowledge in every field, or rather, we are on a knowledge treadmill on which we must keep running or we will slip and fall. This is especially true of the maritime sector, where a seafarer is expected to continuously keep abreast of the latest technical developments in his field, besides numerous international conventions and codes, national acts and rules, and company instructions. In other professions, a person who does not keep himself abreast of the latest developments may be regarded as a dinosaur and become a butt of jokes. But in shipping, such a person is also a safety and security hazard. Studies have shown that human errors have contributed to more than 75% of ship accidents, vessel groundings, collisions, elisions, and fires and explosions. What is worrying is that half of all collisions occurred in ports and terminals. Why are such incidents happening even though today's vessels are equipped with many sophisticated tools and technologies? The answer, as I already told you, is the human element. The finest weapon is no better than its wielder. Improving technical efficiency is the easy part. Improving human efficiency is always the difficult part. Human efficiency can be improved to some extent by quality maritime education and training. So seafaring is a very challenging and responsible profession, and the need to be intellectually vigorous and a lifelong learner is perhaps greater in this profession than in many others. Dear students, ask any employer and he will tell you that despite there being so many intelligent and knowledgeable people around, good employees are still hard to come by. Many people have attitude problems. It has been rightly said that your attitude determines your altitude, meaning your attitude determines how high you will rise in your career, whether you will be a winner or a loser. Someone has beautifully described the attitudinal differences between winners and losers as follows. Winners have a positive outlook, losers are invariably negative. Winners find a solution for every problem, losers find a problem for every solution. A winner always has a plan, a loser always has an excuse. Winners are a part of the team, losers are apart from the team. Winners say it may be difficult, but it is possible. Losers say it may be possible, but it is too difficult. I don't know if you have read a beautiful short essay by the American writer Albert Hubbard called A Message to Garcia. If not, I suggest that you Google the title and read this inspirational essay. In 1898, there was a war between Spain and USA. Cuba was then a Spanish colony, and Garcia was a Cuban revolutionary leader who was waging a freedom struggle against Spain. He was hiding deep in a jungle in Cuba. The US President, William McKinley, wanted to enlist the support of Garcia in the war against their common enemy, Spain, but he did not know how to reach him. His advisors told him there's a man called Rowan who has the reputation for successfully doing any job he is interested with. Perhaps he can deliver the message to Garcia. So President McKinley sent for Rowan and handed him a letter of introduction and a sealed envelope containing a secret message to Garcia. Now most of us would have said, what is this? How do you expect me to find Garcia with almost nil information, deep inside a Cuban jungle, and at a time when the country is torn by war? But Rowan didn't say such a thing. He simply collected the envelope, made a few inquiries, took a boat to Cuba, landed on a secret beach, worked his way into the forest, met Garcia, handed him the president's secret message, and returned to USA within 15 days. In his essay, Albert Hubbard praised Rowan's positive attitude to work and lamented how few people were there like him who could be trusted to deliver. I like this story because I find that wherever I work, there are four categories of people. Far too many employees are shirkers who avoid taking on responsibilities and try to pass the buck. There are others who are just glib talkers who promise much but deliver little. There are yet others who mess up whatever they undertake to do. Such people have the anti-Midas touch. They are bunglers. Only a small percentage of employees have the ability to get things done and who can be trusted to deliver. They are the go-getters. Every organization has these four categories of people: the shirkers, the talkers, the bunglers, and the go-getters. Only the percentages vary. The merchant shipping is not an exception. It should be your endeavor to be a go-getter, to be someone like Rowan who can get things done, who can be trusted to deliver. Dear students, I appeal to all of you to also cultivate and develop the skill of innovative thinking or creative thinking. You are not going to learn this in school and college because our school and college education places too much emphasis on learning by rote memory. It actually curbs your creative thinking. Don't be under the mistaken impression that creativity is only for scientists, technologists, artists, or musicians. You can be creative in whatever you do. Let me give you an example. The wheel, chakra, was invented way back in 3500 BC. But strangely, nobody thought of putting wheels in the suitcases till about 30 years ago. And people used to carry suitcases by hand with great difficulty. Today we have trolleys, that is suitcases with wheels under them, and dragging them along is a breeze. This is creative thinking. A Japanese company making shampoos encased in plastic containers found that occasionally, once in 10,000 bottles, there was a manufacturing defect in the form of shampoo not being poured into the plastic bottle, and customers were annoyed to find their bottle empty. Suggestions were invited to overcome the problem. One manager suggested X-raying all the bottles as they moved on the conveyor belt. Another suggested using infrared rays. A third suggested weighing each filled bottle, but all these suggestions were rejected as too costly given the small magnitude of the problem. Then one manager suggested a far simpler solution. He suggested that a fan may be placed by the side of the conveyor belt, rotating at just enough speed to blow away the empty plastic bottles, but not bottles filled with shampoo. His suggestion was accepted. This is an illustration of creativity at work. I suppose you have heard the story of Malcolm McLean, a high school dropout, an American truck driver who pioneered the container revolution in the shipping industry. Malcolm McLean is perhaps the most important person you have never heard of, and few inventions of the past 100 years have touched so many lives as the humble shipping container. Earlier, hundreds of dock workers were employed by ports to manually load crates, barrels, bags, and boxes onto ships and unload them. Ships often spent more time in ports than in sailing. Breakages and thefts were common. Goods had to be loaded and reloaded by hand at every other stop along the supply chain, from port to train, from train to truck, from truck to barrels, and so on. Malcolm McLean, as a truck driver, used to wait for hours in the ports. Then the idea struck him. Why should we unload and load? What happens if I simply drive my truck onto the ship? So much time is saved. Of course, you can't drive the truck onto the ship. Instead, he came up with the idea of packing goods in standardized intermodal steel containers that could be loaded and unloaded using forklift trucks and cranes at a fraction of the time, effort, and cost, and which could neatly be stacked on ships as well as trains and trucks. Containers protect the products from breakages and thefts and reduce congestion in ports. This is another example of creativity at work. So you don't have to be, as I said, creativity is something you have to cultivate on your own, consciously. Nobody is going to teach you that. Always ask these questions. Why are things being done this way? Is there a better way of doing things? As you rise higher, always be receptive to new ideas from your subordinates and other stakeholders. Do not brush them aside, saying we are happy with the way we do things around here. Dear students, I am aware that most youth, particularly at your age, do not like advice. It is said that there are two kinds of fools in the world, those who give advice and those who do not take it. I deliberately chose to belong to the first category in the hope that you do not belong to the second. I would like to once again thank AMET University for inviting me to deliver this wonderful